What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel for another video here. This time some GFN and Lord of the Rings Gollum, and I really wish I was bringing better news and having a much better time with this game. Obviously, everyone knows by now, one of the lowest reviewed games of the year, and probably not just of this year. And it is unfortunate. As a big Lord of the Rings fan, I've really been looking forward to this game, and especially thought it was one of the bigger releases for GFN in May besides the Xbox titles. But anyways, let's get into it and we'll talk about it more here. Getting to Lord of the Rings Gollum. We're on the 4080 tier at 4K 120. You can see here, maxed out the bitrate and everything's running great there. But I'm going to go ahead and minimize that down. And we'll go into the settings. So we're just epic on the preset full screen. This game has a motion blur that you can't turn off, which is rather annoying. 4K native resolution, texture streaming I left on for this one. DLSS quality and frame gen is on. Now this won't allow VSync, so it's going to go over the 120 FPS in stream. But with the amount of performance issues and jankiness this game has, I decided just to go with that. Now, if you're running 1440p, I did do that as well, locked the game to 120 with VSync, and it worked pretty well. But with ray tracing and all of that, not using frame gen, it gets a little goofy. The performance in this game, even though ray tracing isn't like the full suite of RTX, it still does some strange things to the game's performance if you're not powering through it with something here like the 4080. On a lesser powered machine, it is certainly an issue, or without frame generation, it's quite an issue with the stuttering and problems. So I usually play with RT off unless using frame gen. But the problems this game has is certainly not GeForce Now's fault. They are, as usual, doing a fantastic job here on the Ultimate tier with great image quality, great input latency, and a fantastic job just running the game and the stream here nice and consistent. The game itself is full of a lot of bugs and messes that we'll talk about a little bit more. But as far as being able to power through the issues here, I guess it's a big advantage to something like the 4080, because as many problems as this game does have with frame gen, with RT on, with all of this, the 4080 tier is able to use all of that technology to kind of mitigate and get through a lot of the major performance issues the game has. However, it does still have a lot of mission breaking bugs and game breaking bugs, and a lot of things that'll happen that make you have to restart from checkpoints or restart levels altogether in order to progress, and that can be really annoying. And I'll show you just one example of dozens that I ran into in hours of testing this game, where you'll run into invisible walls, or you'll just be running and jumping around and get caught in midair, and Gollum or Smeagol will just start kind of shaking and moving around, and you can't get out of this. And sometimes restarting from the checkpoint works, and sometimes it doesn't. It just doesn't load him in at all, and I have to restart the whole level. And like I said, these kinds of things happened a ton, which is a shame, because the environment in this game, I actually think they did a pretty good job for Lord of the Rings environment. The environment, the music, and the voice acting for Smeagol and Gollum are actually pretty good. But the problem is everything else about the game, be it poor performance or poor janky gameplay and other issues that plague it, that's just really what brings it down, which is unfortunate. Again, especially as a big Lord of the Rings fan, I was really looking forward to more deep diving settings on this game and really getting into it and enjoying it, but really there just wasn't a lot of point to that considering the shape that things came out in. Now you're seeing the game run great here on GFN with a 4080 at 4K with frame generation and DLSS and RT and all of that. But I've also played this game on lesser capable machines where you are lucky to get yourself in the 30s and 40s, and you might be playing at like 80, 90 FPS and then all of a sudden go down to 34 FPS. It's quite a mess. So again, GFN is actually an advantage here because you're able to power through and brute force your way through a lot of the game's major issues here. So if I'm going to play this game at all, I'll certainly be playing it over here on GFN on the 4080 this way, just to kind of keep the game maxed out, keep all that tech running and doing its thing, and keeping the game playable. But anyways, guys, I don't recommend picking up this game, but if you have it already, or you're just a big Lord of the Rings fan that's going to play it anyway, highly recommend playing it on GeForce Now's 4080 unless you have a local machine capable of brute forcing its way through all the issues. But again, there's a lot of game breaking bugs and horrible gameplay to contend with as well. All right, guys, thanks a lot for coming and check out the video as always. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.